It's almost Halloween, and I'm still making my Halloween decor. The last one is a simple one, and that is the black cat. I usually post my videos on Saturday, but since it's almost the 31st, this one will be a middle of the week video. The first thing I need to do is to make the cat's head, so I will draw a rectangle for his head, and then I'm going to give it a black fill. Now we need to click on Convert to Curves, and now we have our curves with our node tool selected. Whenever you click on Convert to Curves, the node tool automatically selects, but I go and click on it anyway because I don't know why. I guess it's just become a habit. But for his ears, I want to put two nodes, one there and one there, and then I'll pull this up to where we have a little ear. Now, once we have the ears the way we want them, oh, actually this one is a little bit, okay, once we have the ears the way we want them, then what I want to do is to go down here and to click and click again, and that will make his face rounded. So I'm going to click on this and make his face rounded, and that will give me a rounded face on the bottom and our handles in case we want to change the way his face looks. But I don't want to make this too complicated, so I'm going to keep this the way it is right there, except I think I'm going to pull this down a little bit and make his ears a little bit longer. So now we have the head of our cat. So that was actually pretty simple. So I'm going to click off of that and then move this over, and now we need the cat body. For this, I'm going to use the rounded rectangle tool, and that's this one right here. Draw a rounded rectangle for his body like that. And we already have the black selected, so it already selected itself. And then I want to go over here to this orange thing, and I want to have the bottom be a little bit more rounded. So I'll just pull that down, and then I will click on my Convert to Curves so that I can make the rest of the body as rounded as I want to make it, or shape it the way I want to make it. What I want is to have to click on there to keep that habit, is to click on this node and make this thinner. So I want to have a little neck, so I'm going to move that in, move this handle in, move this in, and move this handle in because I want him to have a neck that's thinner. And then I'm going to take this and move it down and give him a little bit, I want him to have a little bit of a butt. So I'm going to move that in like that. And we want this to look like kind of a vase. And then once we get, let's click out of this to see what it looks like. Sometimes I like to get rid of these things right here. So I don't want this to be too, I don't want that. Okay. I don't want to have a sharp edge, so I want to get rid of my sharp edges. Like that. And make it as rounded as I possibly can. And I don't think I'm going to need this node, so I'm going to go ahead and delete, well, maybe I'm not going to do that. I like to get rid of as many nodes as I can. Let's click off of that and see how that looks. Okay, I think I need to pull that down and move that in a little. This needs to be there. I've got my other handle. I was looking for you. And click off of that so that we can see how our body looks. I think I'm going to go with that body, so I'm going to press the Move tool and then move the body over here, and then I'm going to make it a bit bigger. So I'll make my body a little bit bigger, and move it down so I can have, and I kept this snapping thing on so I could line it up and then see how that looks. This really doesn't, it's centered right there, but I don't think I'm going to pay attention to the snapping tool there. I'm going to move it over a little bit. Using my keys. Then I'm going to turn snapping off. You'll find that I turn snapping off and on depending on how much of an issue it's going to be. So now we have his head, now we have his body, and now all we have to do is make a tail. So I'm going to click the pen tool, and I'm just going to go freehand here and just click down and drag, go up and drag, and try to keep it as smooth as I can. Sometimes with a pen tool, until you get used to it, it's hard to keep it really smooth. You've got to pay attention to where the things are going. See, I already know I'm going to have to make some adjustments. Go around there and go around like that and pull and go down like that and go down until I get to the end, and then I'm going to click down there and click that off. Okay, so there is our tail, and I want to fill for my tail, so I'm going to give it a black fill like that, and then I'm going to move my tail over here until it's outside of our cat. Now, I don't know how picky you are about these kinks in his tail. Sometimes I try to get rid of them. Like, I think this down here should be a little bit better. And then I can get rid of some of these kinks with the handles. This has a kink in it, so I'm going to smooth that out with the handle. This needs to be smoothed out. And then we'll click off of it and see how many of the kinks that we have left. We don't want it to be too perfect. Well, I don't suppose it matters if it's too perfect or not. The last thing I want to do is to click on his head and move his head over a little bit with the keyboard and line it up. Okay, so there's our cat. And now what we need to do is to select all three of these layers and then go up here to the add function and click add, and then all this is going to be all one thing, so we can put it in the middle. This cat needs some eyes, so I'm going to make him some. So I'm going to put one eye, I'm going to give it a yellow fill, and then I will move my eye over to see how it looks. Oh, I do want the snapping tool on for that. And then I want to go Control J and move our eye over, and the snapping tool will keep them lined up. And I want this eye to be right here, this eye to be right here. Oops. And let's see how that looks. Okay, I think I want bigger eyes. So let's make that a little bit bigger and make that a little bit bigger. It's probably a good idea to think about this before you move them, because now the eyes won't be the same shape. Okay, and we will move this over a little. Okay, so now we have our eye. Adjust that out a little bit. And then we want to give our cat some eyeballs. So we will click on the ellipse tool and make this a long ellipse. Give it a black fill. Move this over. And see how that looks. This is still, I think, a little bit too small. Okay, so then we can go Control J and move this eyeball over. And then you can move your pupils around whichever way you want. I'm going to keep mine centered. I'm not going to try to get him to look at anything. And this is our simple cat. So at the end, all we really have to do is to group everything together like that. Right click and group. And now we have a cat that we can move around. If you don't like the way some of this looks, like you want to take a few more of the kinks out and all that, you can always expand the group and then adjust these however way you want. So there we are, the simple Halloween cat. Give this a try and use your imagination to make any alterations that come to your mind. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Check out my Buy Me a Coffee webpage to keep up to date on my latest posts.